Today we're going to talk more specifically about movement and how I would go about observing the movement you're applying and fine-tuning it so that it suits your own style of handwriting. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to jump into a little bit of printing in handwriting, and I think this is, for me, it's really interesting because I do a lot of cursive handwriting, but every time I go and write on a form and it says print only, I get kind of scared because my printing isn't the best. So what I've done is I've kind of translated the style and form of letters in cursive into a more or less print-like fashion. So we're going to move over here to the writing arena and show you how I did that, because I do it primarily using finger movement. So there's a lot of stigma around finger movement versus whole arm movement, and I think some people might be confused in general as to what they should embrace. So I'm here telling you that I use both styles of movement. So I think it's totally reasonable for you to do the same. So I start off, let's see if we can get the mic a little closer so I can talk. Okay, so I start off here. Let's just go through the basic letters of the alphabet. We're going to do all lowercase because we primarily write in lowercase. So with the A, so in cursive, I write with a slant, and I'm going to go ahead and write using some finger movement, but we write with this slant in our handwriting, and I really like the slant. It has kind of a dashy look to it, and I find that really attractive. So I wanted to keep the slant in my cursive hand, or in my printing as well. So I'm using more or less the forms and kind of my perception of what print looks like and the movement in cursive handwriting and applying it all to printing. And it is most ideal, in my opinion, if you want to print, to use finger movement. I think that is the most practical way of going about it. So again, let's break down some of the movements here in printing and just show you how I would potentially build some drills off of the printing or the printed letters and the finger movement involved. So the A is basically a teardrop shape, right? So this teardrop shape is a movement that's going to be used more than once. So we can see the A uses it, the D uses it, the G. The O could potentially embrace a more teardrop-like shape. We have the Q. So now we know that there are at least 5 letters that are going to use this teardrop shape. So this is a motion that you can practice for your printing if you so wanted to improve your printing. Now, if you had a different style of printing, you would do the same thing. You would look at, say for example, you like to print upright. I don't like to print upright, and maybe it's obvious why. I don't feel it looks good, and it doesn't appeal to the type of movement that I want to embrace. So when I'm using the movement that I'm using for this oval here, it's kind of a side motion. It's a combination of both wrist and finger movement. So with the fingers I reach, with the wrist I move around, and with the fingers I pull back. And that's the movement that is working best for me. in printing. So when I print, that's how I do it. And some people have different movements. Some people tend to pronate their hand a little bit more when they print and write with the fingers a lot more. So if that's the case, you would just have to fine-tune that movement in order to improve your handwriting. So this is an exercise that I could potentially do for my printing and create some consistency in my writing. And it takes time. It does take time. It's something that you're going to have to develop some muscle memory in. It's not going to come overnight. And the more you practice, though, you're going to find that it's going to become easier for you to create some synchronicity or similarities in your writing. Consistency. That's the word I'm looking for. Create consistency in your writing that way. So what was the last one? Oh. Just a simple O. So you can see now I'm creating some cohesiveness between letters.